With reaction, Florida Congressman Connie Mack and, by the way, I hope he's my congressman one day, and professional crisis manager from the firm Lanny Davis and Associates, Fox News contributor, the one and only Lanny Davis. All right, we got to know each other. By the way, I really mean it. I'd love to. You live in paradise, the best congressional district in the country, except maybe for Hawaii.
I agree.
You and I had some big fights during the Clinton years, and
when I first met you.
When we first, had
you were a lot younger, a
lot wiser,
more liberal. Yes.
No, I was never more liberal. All right, we had some brawls on this program about Clinton and impeachment. I mean, heated, fiery debate. You wrote a book after that whole process. Tell the truth. What is it? Truth to tell. Tell it all. Tell it early. Tell yourself. I often quote it. I read the whole book. Compare that to how Congressman Weiner handled this.
He broke all the rules about getting the bad news out yourself and telling the truth as quickly as possible and ending the story. And he's paying a terrible consequence, both personally and politically, because he broke those rules.
Who could trust him? I want to go back to the question I was asking Beckel. I really did feel I felt a little sorry for him today. But then on the other hand, I look at his family, and I look at the young girls. These girls are young enough to be his daughter, and then he's sending naked pictures of himself. This story gets worse, Lanny, and I'm not sure if 6 is the only number. And I'm thinking, does he have the judgment to be a congressman? And the answer is no.
Look, first of all, I know his wife very well for a long period of time. I feel very
sorry for her.
Very, very badly for her, and I do feel badly for him. He obviously has serious issues. I am not judging other people. I'm certainly not the person to judge others. I know that he's in a lot of pain and that he's got to make his own decisions about his future, but he's in a lot of pain.
This seems to be compulsive, Congressman. It seems like he's sending these pictures to people he doesn't even know. You know, like strangers he's picking up on the internet. Here, take a picture of my crotch and send it to you. I'm thinking it's so poor judgment, and it seems to be so compulsive.
Well,
in nature.
I think this is why so many Americans question the political system, that they're seeing this go on. We should be having a debate tonight about the debt ceiling and the budget, but instead we're having a discussion about, what a member of Congress is sending on Twitter, and it's unfortunate. Look, this ultimately is going to come down to himself, his family, his constituents, and his conscience. And I think there's a lot of questions he needs to answer to himself, to his family, and to his constituents.
Do you think the Democrats will pressure him now to get out because of as long as he's there, as long as he's in the news, this now becomes a distraction for them? I mean, they really want a full-time job for them. They want to scare the living daylights out of old people, so it takes them off their scaring old people message.
Well, I think you've seen a lot of Democrats come out and condemn what he's done. You see a lot of Democrats, like our friend Lanny, who are saying...
Yeah, but not in the way they did your fellow Florida Congressman Mark Foley. And there were, think of back in those days, or Larry Craig. Did he tap the guy's foot, not tap the guy's foot? Or any Republican. See, Republicans resign in 6 seconds, and Democrats always fight it out. Why the double standard?
Well, again, I guess it's a style of leadership. I don't know. And those are questions ultimately the voters are going to decide. But I think that it's good that there's been a call for an investigation. And I go back to this. Does
this violate any ethics?
I think there's a good chance that it has, and he'll have to answer to those questions.
Lanny, why the double standard? I mean, how does Bill Clinton survive? Because the president, I agree, one of my big arguments can be blackmailed if he's having sex with interns and he has secrets.
Well, first of all, I agree with everything that Connie said about consequences, and his priority right now is fixing his situation with a very hurt wife and friends, and
deal with my blackmail question.
And dealing with himself.
And the double standard, the way that Nancy Pelosi attacked Republicans and had to drain the swamp and the culture of corruption about Mark Foley, and she has a double standard here with Congressman Weiner.
When Nancy Pelosi, I've known many years, used that expression, culture of corruption, even when it was Duke Cunningham as one example, and extrapolated.
And Mark Foley was extrapolated in that.
I disagreed with that for the very same reason that we should not extrapolate when there's an aberration in one party, and that's unfortunately what both parties do. But here's the question.
Like Christians don't believe they're perfect, they believe they're forgiven. Republicans want higher standards, and because they have standards, it's like they're punished if one of them falls short of those standards. And is it the Democratic Party saying, well, we don't have these standards, therefore you can't hold us? We'll never be hypocritical? Maybe you want to answer.
Well, no, again, I think this is, I'll say this. Democrats want Anthony Weiner to leave. They want him to resign.
Why don't they say it?
Well, I hope they will, and I think you'll have more and more Democrats who will come forward and say that. But this is what destroys the institution of government. And again, I would love to be talking about the budget and cutting
We'll have
spending.
you back. You know that.
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time on the budget.
I know you have.
But I feel sorry for the young girls, too. I mean, look, they're young, new media, social networking is part of their lives. But when a 46-year-old married guy is sending pictures like this to a young girl, you know what? There's something, and to many of them, to people he barely knows. Do you think that person, I want you to answer this directly and don't give me the Lanny dodge. Do you think that person shows poor enough judgment that they shouldn't be a congressman? No, really, Lanny.
I'm going to give you a non-answer. I am not here to judge another person.
I'm not asking you to judge.
Failings.
Does that person, if he's in a position of power,
he's got to be held accountable for making.
No, I'm not asking you that. If he sends pictures, naked pictures, what does that tell you about his judgment?
It tells me he has terrible judgment.
It tells me he doesn't have the judgment to be a congressman and a leader.
It tells me he has bad judgment and a serious personal failing, and I don't judge other people. I think.
And he could be blackmailed.
He needs to work on himself and on the situation with his wife first and foremost before anything about politics.
I think he's lost the public trust.
I agree.
And that's the bottom line.
All right, I want to go fishing with you down in Naples and Fort Myers.
And can I please say something nice that is the best Republican I know?
You dodged and you went against your own book.
Except for his wife, who's the better Republican among the two of them. He's one of my favorite people in Congress.